Have you ever felt like you're living a life that doesn't belong to you? Do you ever get tired of pretending to be someone else just to be accepted? If so, you're not alone. But you can break free starting right now. Every day, millions of people wake up wearing masks they didn't choose, smiling when they want to cry, nodding when they want to scream, agreeing, pleasing, conforming not because it feels right, but because somewhere along the way they learn that being accepted matters more than being true. We inherit frequencies like hand-me-down clothes from our parents, our cultures, the filtered perfection of social media. We borrow ways of thinking, speaking, even dreaming until one day we don't know what's real anymore. We become skilled performers in a play we never auditioned for. It's no wonder the world feels heavy. The more we drift from our authentic signal, the louder the inner dissonance grows. Jessica, a primary school teacher from Ohio, used to laugh with her students, always the cheerful one. But behind closed doors, she'd collapse in tears, exhausted from acting through her own life. She wasn't broken, she was disconnected. And if you've ever felt the same, it's not because there's something wrong with you. It's because your truth has been buried under years of noise, expectation, and fear. The question is, what's really keeping you trapped in this prison of borrowed frequencies? And more importantly, are you ready to remember who you are? Because the problem isn't in the technique, it's in the unconscious frequency you broadcast every single day. You can repeat affirmations, visualize success, fill your walls with vision boards, or wake up at 5 a.m. with perfect discipline. But if deep down, you're operating from a place of lack, of fear, of not being enough, the results will always reflect that hidden signal. The quantum field doesn't respond to what you sit, responds to what you are. Imagine tuning into a radio station. You might speak about abundance, but if your dial is still locked on scarcity, that's all the world can echo back. You don't attract what you want. You attract what your nervous system believes is safe. Mark, a marketing expert from Los Angeles, spent 3 years meticulously crafting his vision board. Every morning, he looked at pictures of luxury, freedom, purpose. But inside, he felt numb, lost in a job he secretly hated. It wasn't until he faced a truth he had buried for decades, that he was living to earn his father's approval, that things began to shift. The moment he stopped chasing external goals and started honoring his own values, opportunities showed up that didn't need to be forced. His frequency had changed. When the internal signal aligns, the external world rearranges. But most people try to change outcomes without ever touching the root. That's why they stay stuck. They chase more tools, better hacks, louder motivation, never realizing they're building castles on unstable ground. So before you ask how to manifest faster, or work harder, or dream bigger, pause and ask something far more important. What frequency are you living from right now? Is it the frequency of survival or the frequency of truth? If the world around you is just a mirror, what story is your reflection trying to show you? If the signal you send is the seed, how do you begin to hear what you're actually planting? Observing your private life, the moments when you're not performing, is where your true frequency reveals itself most clearly. It's not in what you post, promise, or preach. It's in the choices you make when no one is watching, the hesitation to speak up, the quiet anxiety before answering a message, the internal tug-of-war you feel before saying yes when your body screams no. These tiny decisions are loud signals. They tell the truth your words cannot. Your frequency isn't spoken, it's lived. It's revealed in what you tolerate, what you postpone, what you fear to confront. Procrastination is not laziness, it's a message. Anxiety isn't weakness, it's feedback. Inner conflict isn't failure. It's a signal that you're misaligned with your core. When your internal and external realities clash, your energy Fragments, and when energy fragments, progress stalls. Emily, a single mother from Texas, used to tell her daughter to be strong, to chase what brings joy. Yet every night, alone in the silence, she cried quietly, afraid to quit the job that was draining her soul. She didn't lack strength, she lacked alignment. Her real frequency wasn't in her words, it lived in the truth she avoided. That's how it works. What you avoid, ignore, or deny holds the key to what you're actually emitting. It's not about fixing yourself, it's about listening more closely to what your life is already trying to show you. So the real question is not what you say you want, but what your consistent behaviors reveal you truly expect. When you strip away performance, expectations, and fear, what remains? What choices would you make if no one was judging? How would you speak, act, or feel if validation wasn't required? The deeper you go into that silence, the more honest your frequency becomes. And once you're aware of it, the next step is powerful. How do you begin to bring that signal back into harmony with the real you? Begin with sacred silence, not to fix, but to truly listen. Not the kind of silence filled with scrolling, comparing, or pretending to be calm. This is the stillness beneath the noise where your real self has been waiting. In that space, you don't need to force clarity. You allow it. You remove the distractions. You take a break from the endless stream of opinions, the pressure to measure up, the invisible weight of expectations you never agreed to carry. Most people try to find their truth by adding more knowledge, more routines, more advice. But the frequency of truth doesn't need more. It needs less. Less noise, less pretending, less pushing against what is. In that stillness, you meet the child within the version of you that felt deeply, dreamed freely, and feared nothing until the world told you who to be. Speak to that child again, not with judgment, but with care. Write to them as if they were 5 years old. Tell them, it's okay to rest. It's okay to feel. It's okay to not have all the answers. That act alone begins the reset. James, a former soldier in America, carried the weight of invisible battles for years. After his service, he tried to be strong by suppressing everything. Until one day, he stopped forcing healing and started listening. In his words, it was only when he stopped trying to be strong that he discovered what strength truly is. This is the paradox of alignment. The less you fight yourself, the faster you return to wholeness. Your authentic signal cannot be chased. It must be remembered. It rises naturally when fear fades and presence returns. The way you speak begins to soften. The way you move becomes more grounded. You stop acting from pressure and begin responding from peace. And when that shift happens, a quiet power enters your life. So ask yourself this: when your frequency becomes true again, what changes in the way you act, choose, and live? Action becomes natural when there is no inner conflict. You don't need to push yourself when the path aligns with who you truly are. The urge to force, to hustle, to overcorrect only arises when something inside is resisting. Procrastination is not a flaw in your discipline. It is a signal that your internal world is not yet in agreement with what you're trying to do. Most people mistake inaction as laziness, but often it is a quiet message from your nervous system saying this path doesn't feel safe or true or honest. Real momentum doesn't come from pressure. It comes from harmony. The solution isn't more effort. It's smaller, gentler, more consistent steps from a place of safety. When you act from a settled state, things begin to flow. The results stop feeling like battles. They become extensions of your natural energy. Rachel, an art student from New York, avoided painting for 2 years. She told herself she would begin once she felt inspired or once her work could impress others, but nothing ever came. Then one day, she chose to paint not for attention, not to post online, but because the process made her feel alive. Within 1 week, she finished a piece that had been waiting to exist. When pressure disappears, creativity breathes. This is the power of easy action. It bypasses the need for motivation. It comes not from trying harder, but from removing what blocks you. When your actions match your energy, there is no force, no resistance, only flow. You stop asking how to stay consistent, and you start wondering why you ever struggled in the first place. So ask yourself this: if you stopped pretending, stopped performing, and simply allowed your truest self to guide the next step, what would that step be? What might unfold if ease replaced effort and truth replaced pressure? Embodiment is what you already believe to be true, so you no longer need to convince anyone. It's not a performance. It's not a strategy. It is the quiet certainty that grows from repetition, from alignment, from integrity, lived in the smallest choices. Your brain learns through patterns. Neural pathways are not formed by what you hope for, but by what you do consistently. This is why embodiment is more powerful than any technique. Techniques are tools. Embodiment is identity. You're not pretending. To be confident, you're not acting successful. You're not saying affirmations while doubting yourself inside. You're living as if the truth you seek is already alive in you. And that shifts everything. Daniel, an entrepreneur from Chicago, failed 3 times in business. Each time, he focused on gaining followers, closing deals, making money. But deep down, he felt scattered and out of sync with himself. On his 4th attempt, he chose something different. He stopped chasing results and began living each day as a kind, honest, grounded person. He asked himself, not what would impress others, but what would feel right if no one ever noticed. That simple shift in being changed his energy. People began to trust him. Opportunities came naturally, and his next venture succeeded without the strain. This is the power of embodiment. When you are no longer trying to become, you begin to be. And being is magnetic. It speaks louder than words. It connects deeper than logic. It resonates further than performance ever could. Embodiment removes the gap between what you believe and how you live. It replaces effort with congruence. The world may be noisy, but when your internal compass is steady, the noise cannot pull you off course. So ask yourself now, in a world filled with distractions and demands, how do you stay tuned to that real signal inside and carry it into every space you enter? Choose truth over approval every single moment. Not once, not only when it's easy or convenient, but especially when it's uncomfortable, especially when no one else seems to understand. That is when your frequency is tested, and that is when it becomes real. Each day offers hundreds of tiny decisions. Do I say what I mean, or do I say what's expected? Do I act from alignment, or from the need to belong? The question to keep returning to is this: am I choosing this for me, or for acceptance? The quantum field doesn't reward intensity. It reflects consistency. It doesn't need you to be perfect. It asks if you're being honest. Alignment is not about being understood by the world. It's about being at peace within yourself. That peace is powerful. It's steady, and over time, it transforms everything. Anna, once a popular creator with over 1 million followers, faced this crossroad. Her content was admired, but her soul felt disconnected. So she made a decision most would never dare. She walked away from the validation. She deleted the old channel and started from zero, speaking only about mindfulness, healing, and presence. The numbers dropped. The applause faded. But slowly, the right people found her. The ones who resonated with her truth. After a year, her community was smaller but deeply real. This is the gift of choosing truth. It doesn't just shift your life, it gives others permission to do the same. It sends a signal into the collective field that authenticity is enough. that being real is safe. So when you're tempted to shrink, to bend, to edit who you are just to be liked, pause and remember, your truth is not for everyone. It's for those who are ready to hear it. When you live from that place, are you only changing yourself or quietly reshaping the world? Your frequency creates a resonance effect, like a tuning fork. When one vibration is steady, it influences everything around it without force. This is not philosophy, it's physics. It's how nature works. One honest presence in a room shifts the atmosphere. One grounded person creates safety for others to open up. One aligned life gives silent permission for others to remember their own truth. When you embody your real self, not in words, but in being, you spark a ripple. That ripple becomes a pattern, and patterns change culture. The most powerful change doesn't start with movements or slogans. It begins with a single human choosing to be real in a world built on performance. Chris, a nurse in California, used to speak with his patients using rehearsed scripts. Polite, professional, distant. Until one day, he decided to be more honest. He stopped pretending he had all the answers. He started sharing presence, not just protocol. When conversations turned vulnerable, he met them with truth, not perfection. And something unexpected happened. His patients began healing faster, not just physically, but emotionally. He said, "I'm no longer just a nurse. I'm a real person, meeting another real person." That is the power of resonance. You don't need to preach. You don't need to lead. You just need to live in tune with what is true for you. That alone shifts others. The world doesn't change because we tell it to. It changes when enough people live in a way that makes truth feel safer than illusion. Your energy is not small. It carries, it teaches, it awakens. So ask yourself now, in this exact moment, without waiting for permission or certainty, what begins to shift, not just inside you, but in the lives around you when you choose to live from your most honest frequency right now? Waiting equals sending out the frequency of "I'm not ready." And every moment you choose delay, you reinforce the identity tied to your past. You teach your nervous system to stay within the familiar, even when it no longer serves you. Change does not require a perfect plan. It only asks for one real step, taken now, not tomorrow. Not when conditions feel ideal. Not when fear finally disappears. Now, because the longer you wait for courage, the further you drift from the version of you that already exists inside, quietly ready to rise. Every second of hesitation builds the old operating system. Every real choice, no matter how small, begins to rewrite it. You do not need 100 strategies. You need one moment of truth. That moment might look ordinary. It might seem invisible to others. But energy responds instantly to alignment. Tom, once homeless, on the streets of New Jersey, lived many days in a fog of hopelessness. Nothing changed until a quiet realization hit him. In that still moment, without applause or advice, he decided to walk to a recovery center. That one step redirected the entire course of his life. He later said that one true decision changed my timeline. It wasn't dramatic, it was honest. And honesty carries force. The universe does not respond to delay. It mirrors decision. Your future is not built in one giant leap. It is shaped by the single choice you make right now to align with your inner signal. So ask yourself gently, with full presence, what step could I take today that feels true, even if no one sees it? Because when that step comes from your real frequency, it becomes the doorway to an entirely different path. And all it asks is that you stop waiting and start walking. Write down one small action that you know aligns with your true frequency. Not something impressive, not something to prove a point, but something so honest that you can no longer ignore it. Do it not because someone told you to, Do it because your soul has already decided. The real you does not need to be convinced. It only needs to be expressed. This step might look quiet from the outside. It might not gain attention or praise, but it will shift something powerful within. When action comes from truth, it becomes transformation. You are not here to perform. You are here to live fully. Awake, fully aligned, fully you. The frequency of truth doesn't seek permission. It moves with presence, with clarity, with calm courage. So take that step, send that message, make that change, say no, say yes, begin something new, end something false. Whatever it is, let it come from the part of you that already knows. And if you've made it to this moment, listening with an open heart, then know this: you are no longer someone seeking the path. You are someone becoming the path. Right now, drop into your body. Feel the clarity beneath the noise. And from that space, ask one final question. What truth have I been holding back? And what would it look like to live it, just for today? If this video met you where you are, take a moment now. Pause, reflect, then comment below and say, I am learning to hear my true frequency. Like this video, share it with someone who needs it. But above all, thank you. Thank you for choosing this message among countless others. Thank you for choosing yourself. In a world that profits from your disconnection, choosing your truth is the most powerful act you can make. And it all begins with one step. Right now.